Hello and welcome to the Knitted Bean podcast. My name is Echo and I'm coming to you from Montana. I wanted to start a knitting podcast because I enjoy, while I knit, having my computer on the side and watching podcasts and listening to podcasts about knitting and various other geeky scientific topics. And I noticed a little bit of a trend that some of the podcasters would mention kind of on the sly or, just cheekily here or there that, something about a fanfic or something like that. But they would never come right out and say, like, I read fanfic or I write fanfic or anything like that. And one of the things that I enjoy the most about some of the podcasts that I do listen to that are not knitting focused is that some of those people just straight up admit, I write fanfic, I get it. And so I wanted to make a podcast, a place, a space for those of us who knit, but also who are into fandom and want to be able to enjoy both at the same time. So that is what this podcast is going to be about. That does mean that there will probably be smutty references or recommendations as far as fanfic go. And there will probably also be swear words here or there because that's just who I am and I'm not going to curb it. So I would not recommend this to be watched with small children or if you are under the age of 18. However, if you are over the age of 18 and there are no small children hanging out with you and that sounds like something you would enjoy, then I invite you to come along on this fun little journey with me. A little bit about myself. I am a married woman who lives with my dogs. We do not have any children. My husband is 100% aware that I write fanfic. Doesn't care at all. He sits and plays video games. I sit and I write fanfic and I knit and everything is good. So he in fact encouraged me to do this podcast. My dogs will probably make multiple appearances on the on the pod fic because they are somewhat of attention whores. So I've got Izzy here, who is my granny dog. She is 12, pushing 13. She was a rescue Boston Terrier who was given up by her owner. I got her when she was 8. And then we have Lugs, who's much shorter and you can hardly see her. Hi, Lugs. Short for Lugnut. She is also a rescue Boston Terrier who was a puppy mill mama rescue that was taken out of the mill, fixed, and then we rescued her. She is now about 6 and she thinks that she's still a puppy because she never got to be a puppy. So she's super hyper. So I apologize ahead of time if the dogs squeak a toy, bump into the camera, jump in my face. They enjoy doing it. My husband suggested putting them in a spare room while I did this, but I know that they would just bark and be miserable, so I'm not going to do that. Another fair warning, my voice tends to go in and out, and I have to stop and breathe a lot. That's just how I am. I have a lot of lung issues, so if I stop and get a drink or pause a lot when talking, that is why. So I'm going to follow the format of the usual knitting podcast with all my geekiness interspersed and then probably do some recommendations and talk a bit about fanfic and fandom at the end of every podcast. So I guess you could skip that last bit if you're really super not interested, or you could give it a try. You never know, you might like it. So my first FO is going to be a sock. My husband was really kind and bought me a year-long subscription to the Farmer's Daughter's Fiber Sock Squad for 2021. Maybe this will make up for all of 2020. I highly doubt it because it was a hell of a year, as we all know. So this is my FO. I did Vanilla is the New Black for the heel, and then Pebbles Sock for the texture on top. And I don't think the color is showing up particularly well. I kind of lost some of my light here, but we'll try. The yarn was a 75-25 merino nylon blend, 4-ply. It was really nice to work with. I enjoyed it. It's very soft. It blocked up even softer. And it's pretty thin, you know, wraps per inch wise. It's definitely on the lighter end of a fingering. I'll see if I can bring it up a little closer and you can get a better look at the color. If I can, like, there we go. That's a little more true color wise. The colorway was called A New Dawn. It did come with a mini. Every month comes with a mini as well. I chose not to use the mini this time because I'm not a super girly girl, and coral is great, but coral with purple is pink, and I'm not a huge fan of pink, so I decided to use it in another project. When you search for Pebble Sock on Instagram or on Ravelry, you're gonna get like 5 different Pebble Socks. So the Pebble Sock that I used was the one by Mina Phillips, who I believe is Knitting Expat on there. That pattern was about $5, as was the Vanilla is the New Black, which I just wanted it for the heel. I really like the heel. It fits really well. I feel like it kind of falls in the anatomical heel section. And that's the whole reason that I did this as a cuff down, was to try this heel. I don't ever do cuff down. This was actually my first cuff down ever, along with my first ever without contrasting heels and toes, because I really enjoy my contrasting heels and toes. I like the pops of color. I just like the funness in socks that way. And so both of those were new things for me. A couple things about the heel: I felt like it took me a really long time to knit it. I think that was just because of the size of the heel. Starts a lot earlier than I'm used to. And so the majority of the heel was knitting from the top down to the corner. And then once I turned the corner, it was fine. That's something I've heard from people who do heel flap and gusset. I don't do heel flap and gusset. It's not my favorite heel, and so I don't tend to do it. I typically do toe up 9-inch circular with a German short row or fish lips kiss heel. I will do Judy's Magic Cast On with Magic Loop method up until I can get my 9-inch circulars in there. And as soon as I can get my 9-inch circulars in there, I am done with that, and I'm on my itty bitty needles going until I'm done, and I love it. So it was a bit of a slog to go from the top down for me. Everybody has their preferred method. I clearly found mine right at the outset, and then trying to do it a different way was new. I appreciate it. I like the heel, and I'll do it again, but I like my specific way. The other thing that I struggled with was you do some increases on either side of the heel where you make one purl, and for whatever reason, I don't even know if I can make it show it, I struggled on this side of mine, on both socks, to make those not have gaps. So I don't know if that's because I'm making my make one purl to the left wrong or what. I mean, thought I had it down, but it obviously wasn't working. Other than that, I love the heel. I would do it again. I did make the socks a little bit too big around because I had made some for my sister just previously, and I think I got her numbers and my numbers mixed up just a little bit. She does a 72 and I do a 68, and I think I did a 72 again instead of 68, but whatever, maybe I'll gift them to her, maybe I won't. I think that's about it on that one. I did have some leftover. They're kind of shorties, and I used no contrasting heels and toes. They used 66 grams, so I do have some leftover of that. Okay, on to my second FO, and I'll have to apologize if it's got dog hair on it because my husband's been using it for a few days. So I had sent my writing partner a hot water bottle sweater in a care package a couple of months ago. They're a big fan of their hot water bottle, and so that was just something that I included in there without saying anything. I knitted it up and sent it, and they greatly enjoy it. When I was done with it, my husband was like, "That is really cool. I'm a little jealous. I want one of those." And I was like, funny. You don't even have a hot water bottle. So, but he still thought it was really cool. So for his birthday at the beginning of January, I went ahead and remedied that. I bought him a hot water bottle, and then I knit him his own sweater. I knit it out of London, which is a 70-30 wool acrylic. I don't usually use acrylic, and I did not enjoy working with it, but I made it work. I did it because the color was perfectly my husband. It's black, it's red, it's kind of woolen spun looking, and it spoke to me as just him. So I did it in that, despite not enjoying it. It clung to the needles like glue, and I tried it on a wooden needle, I tried it on a metal needle. I didn't enjoy any of it, but I did get it done. I put some buttons that I ordered online on there for him that do greatly resemble some tattoos that he's got on his arms. And so he thought that that was really neat. That was the only part of the project that he was aware of. He saw the buttons and he was like, oh, those buttons are really cool. And I was like, yeah, they're going on your birthday present. So that's all you get to know. As far as the pattern goes, it is the Huggable Hot Water Bottle by Emily B. Miller. It's a free pattern. If you go on Ravelry, it says it's discontinued. It is not. That is a lie. You can click on her blog and it will take you to her link. And on her link, there is a place where you can download it for free still. It's not made for Aran weight. I did it in Aran weight. So I had to adjust my stitch count, which was fine. I've made it before. I had no problems doing that. The other thing that I altered was the top on hers is 3 needle bind off close, and I didn't want to do that because I didn't want him to have to slide it in and out every time that he filled it up. So I did the same alteration that I did for my writing partner, which is that I bound off the top open so that they can still access it that way, and the sweater can just stay on. This is a quick knit, couple of days if you're not even working on it hard. It's very easy. Really, you just need to know how to do knit, purl, yarn over, SSK, knit 2 together, and a 3 needle bind off. And it's fun and it's useful, and a hot water bottle's cheap. So it makes a great present. Even if they don't already have a hot water bottle, like my husband did not. It did take 1.5 skeins of the Lang because those are only 50 gram skeins, which I did not realize when I bought the first one. So 3/4 of the way through, I looked at the water bottle and looked at my skein and went, I better go back and buy some more. So that is what I've got for finished objects. In reality, of course, I have a whole bunch more that I finished right before and right after Christmas, but I'm not going to show them. I am just going to start with what I finished in like the last 10 days and call it good. Because who wants to show off all their old stuff right now? So let's move on to works in progress. So I've got 2 works in progress. The first one is itty bitty, teeny weeny, my usual way of doing socks, which is from the toe up. So I have 3/4 of a toe of one sock. So I mentioned that the Farmer's Daughter Fiber Sock Squad box comes with a mini skein that I didn't use. I'm using it in this. So this is the unnamed color mini skein. It's kind of a, not wanting to focus. There we go. It's kind of a magenta purple. That's about right there. And I just didn't want to put it with coral. It would have been so bright and so not me. So I saved it. And then I had the next project up that I was going to do. I hadn't picked a toe for yet. So it ended up being the toe for that. These are some gift knit socks. I am using, I'll show you this part because it looks super cool. that is Shipwrecked Sheep and Fantastic on Jazz Sock, which is 70% merino, 20% nylon, 5% lurex. So I don't know if you could quite see. There we go. It's got some sparkle going on. So the Fantastic colorway is one of their wide set of any gender, any orientation, any sexuality, any leaning or identifying that you can think of set of sock. And actually I think it might come on DK too, but I'm not sure. Yarns that they have that I ordered. Some of the proceeds, can't talk, let's try that again. Some of the proceeds of that sale goes to the Trevor Project, which is a LGBTQ plus youth charity that is set out to help prevent suicide amongst those youth. And so the person that I am knitting this for, you know, they are somebody who's trans and somebody who is pan. So this is a huge representation of who they are, and also is going to send money to a charity that's going to be really near and dear to their heart. I really enjoy knitting socks for people that are kind of a representation of a part of them. And this is not the first time that I've done that. So I am looking forward to finishing these. I don't know what pattern I'm going to make yet. I just really needed to get them on the needles. So I got them on the needles, and now I need to figure out what the fuck I'm doing. This is not the first time I've done that. Okay, so my second works in progress is definitely fandom related. So in fandom, I definitely like Witcher. I also like Cyberpunk, and I also like quite a few others, but we can't list them all in one place. So I've wanted for a while to knit something to do with the character in Witcher that I'm very attached to, which is Eskel. And I am friends with Aiden from UnderCover Otter, and so they kindly gifted me a bunch of yarn for a very large sized drapey shawl. And it took me a while to pick out a pattern, but once I did, I got started. So this is the start of my Teroldego shawl. I've altered a few things on it. The stripes are equal size instead of being thick and thin. On the yarn, oh, excuse me, on the lace here, I did beads instead of baubles. I did originally do baubles. I didn't like it. They looked sad and tiny, so I pulled them out all the way back through the lace section, reknit it with beads. And I'm up to the colorwork section, which would normally be a little leafy, viney section, and I don't want to do that. I wanted to do flames. So I wrote my own colorwork pattern that would fit within that area that was flames. That made it 3 colorwork. And here's a little secret. I don't like color work. I hate knitting color work. I will knit it in the round if I absolutely have to for a hat or something, but I'll avoid it if I can. And I really hate 3-color work. And I'd never knit color work in the flat before, so when I chose this pattern, I decided if I can't do the color work, or if I don't enjoy doing the color work, I'll just replace it with a color block. Then I made it even harder by making it 3-color work, and now I've reknit it several times, and I'm sick of it, and every time I look at it, I want to stab myself in the eyeball with my knitting needle. So I think it's going to go away, and I'm going to replace it with a color block. So for right now, that project's in purgatory. It's been in purgatory for about a week, and it might stay there for another week while I decide exactly what color my color block is going to be. But I'm over the color work for right now. No more. It's going away. Other than that, I love the pattern. I love the yarn. I love the lace. The lace worked up really good. I didn't like the baubles. I love it with the beads. So as far as yarn and colors, I'm working with UnderCover Otter, of course. I've got Killer Tomatoes. I'm pretty sure that's the colorway on this one. I didn't actually save the ball band on this one. So I suppose it could be something else, but I'm pretty sure that's the one. Then I've got Uncle Fester, which is a gorgeous deep gray that I love to death. And I've got Haunted Gold. Haunted Gold is also based off of Gunter Dim out of Witcher. So it's the Haunted Gold that I've got is a reject skein. Actually, I have two of them that are reject skein, and they have some splotching in them, which perfectly matches the Killer Tomatoes because that's just how the dye job worked. It had that color in it, and then it messed up and it clung to it. I love it that way because you'll be knitting the lace along and there'll be a little splotch of that red color that matches perfectly. So I'm actually very glad that those are the ones that I took, because to me it pulls the shawl together. Of course it wouldn't be sold that way, but I love it. That's what I've got for works in progress. I do have a couple projects coming up that I'd like to knit, and a couple long-term projects that I'd like to plan for or am planning for. I have another pair of socks I'd like to knit for myself, which is hilarious since I've got Sock Club coming next month and I'm currently knitting a pair, but you know, maybe I'll have time. And then I would like to cast on a cardigan of some sort. I've never knit a big garment and they make me really nervous. And some of my knitting friends have encouraged me to just get over it and knit a couple sweaters. So I have a couple sweaters in my queue, and my goal is to knit them this summer for winter because, as I stated, I'm in Montana and it is cold as fuck up here. And it would be really nice to have some hand knit sweaters to wear when it's freezing. I have the skills to do it. I knit dog sweaters all the time, but it's different when it's me. It scares me for some reason, and it probably shouldn't, but it does. So in anticipation of that, I have been slowly collecting some yarns. So I will go through a few acquisitions. Some of these are from Christmas money that I got, so I ordered them for myself. So the first thing that I've got is Sheepyshire. This is Moonless Sky. It is super squishy as usual, and this is on their fingering weight 75/25 superwash merino nylon. It's called their staple sock. I've ordered it before. I love it. It's always a good dye job. It's always reliable shipping. I would definitely order from them again. I got this because I'm going to knit my husband some socks at some point that are black with red toes because he wears black socks for work. So yes, I'm a masochist. I'm going to knit black socks on a 0 needle. Don't ask me why, but I am. And then I mentioned that I wanted to cast on a cardigan. I have my eyeball on 1 or 2 designs that have a mohair collar and lapels. And then I've got some llama that I'm maybe going to use for the rest of it that I got for Christmas. So I ordered some mohair from a place I've been wanting to order from for a while, just to have it on hand in case that's what I decide to do. So this is the Pumpkin Throne colorway, and it is by Plies and Hellhound. So it has got some rust orange, some green, some gray, some blue, some beige, some black. And Plies and Hellhound used to be Once Upon a Corgi. They've just changed their name. So this is gonna go ruminate in my stash with my other yarns that may turn into a cardigan. And maybe if it stays there long enough, I will get up the motivation to cast that on. I told myself when I made it halfway through my Eskel shawl that I could. So we'll see. So the next two yarns are yarns that I bought, or well, one yarn that I bought in anticipation of casting on one of the two sweaters this summer. The two sweaters that I've picked out to do are the Pavement and the Sorrel. Specifically the Sorrel because it's combined with mohair, and again, Montana's super cold and I want something that I'm just gonna roast in. So I'm hoping that will meet the standard. I do love green, so I got some Lambstrings yarn. This is a place that I haven't, come on, don't focus there. There you go. This is a place I haven't ordered from before, but I've been wanting to try. This is on their Tralala sock, which is a 75-25 merino nylon, again, 4-ply fingering. This is Hemlock. It is a probably green overwashed with black or black overwashed with green, and I really like it. And I'm hoping to make it part of a fade. I've got a bunch of other greens that I'm kind of just hanging on to them all and waiting to see what I can do to get a fade going. The other thing that I ordered, I didn't think was green. I thought it was gray or blackish multicolor because that's how it looked on the screen. But when it came out as green, and it's still labeled as the same thing, so I'm assuming that's the color that it's meant to be. And I'm okay with that because I love the color. This was another dyer that I hadn't ordered from, but that I had been meaning to. So this was Molly Girl. And it's a sparkle. I don't know how well you'll be able to see that, but it's a sparkle. This is Bittersweet Symphony on the Diva blend, which is 75% merino, 20% nylon, 5% stellina. And it doesn't say how many plies, but it looks like a 2-ply, to be honest with you. So these two match extremely well. And so even though the Molly Girl came out not being the color I thought it was going to be, I'm totally pleased. And these are going in my future sweater pile. Probably for the Sorrel, but maybe for the Pavement. I haven't decided which one of those two sweaters is going to be my dark green yet. I've also got a whole bunch of bright green set aside, and the other one might be bright green, or it might be gray. So that's what I've got for acquisitions. So, moving on into fandom, I mentioned my main fandom is Witcher, and I also really like Cyberpunk. I'm just dipping my toes into the game, but I am enjoying it. And I know a lot of people who are playing it who are enjoying it. I also really like Ghost of Tsushima. Had a great storyline. I enjoy my video games. I enjoy also my books and the fandoms that go with those, so I can kind of bounce around into a lot of fandoms at different times. I'm pretty active in fandom. I do run a Discord server and run some events. So I'm going to toss out a rec for a really good Witcher fic that you can read if you're interested. It is rated M. It does have some smut. It's not gratuitous smut. It's definitely story heavy. And that is Whatsoever a Man Soweth. It's available on an archive of our own, or better known to a lot of fandom people as AO3. It is written by Crimsonherbarium, and it is a Aidan Lambert fic. It is not for the faint of heart. Read your tags because she takes you on an emotional roller coaster. And you think it's coming, and then you think there's no way she would do that to you, and then she does it to you anyway. Excuse me. It's rough. It is actually the second part of a series that she has written. The first part was called Silver for Monsters. So if you're so inclined, definitely read that first. I'm sure she would appreciate the views. They're both just incredibly well written, well thought out, well edited, and well plotted. And I can't recommend them highly enough. As far as other fandom things that have happened recently that I think are just really neat, I was reading an article last night about the island of Tsushima, which is featured in the Ghosts of Tsushima. It is a real island that did feature a real war and invasion, and some of the game is true and some of the game is not, and the monks who live on the island have been engaging via social media just with the general public about what is and is not true in the game. And then there was a tsunami and it knocked over one of the torii gates that led to one of the shrines on the island. And in the game, the shrines are a large focus that you can go and you can climb these shrines. And they decided to crowdfund, the monks did, to see if they could get those torii gate repaired and put back up. And if you're not familiar, the torii gates are those tall posts with the beam across the top that mark the path to the shrines. And so this was the one that was kind of like on the coastline leading towards this particular shrine, and it had gotten knocked over by the typhoon. So they started this crowdfunding page, and a bunch of the fans of the game of Ghost of Tsushima joined on that crowdfunding, and they actually exceeded the goal of the crowdfunding so that they raised like 500% of the needed funds to repair the shrine gate. And so now the monks will have this money to actually upkeep and repair other gates and other things around the island that they need. And it's just, to me, it was a great example of the good things that fandom can do and how organized fandom can be. You have all these different people from all these different places, and they get centered on one thing, a game or a person or place, and they become in love with it and the idea of it. And even though it's not real, the Ghost of Tsushima game is not real, it has ties to things in real life, and they're willing to pour their time and their money and their effort for free into that, and come out of that can come really great things. So there have been several articles on several different international news sites, CNN and other things, on that torii gate if you're interested in looking it up. I'll try to link one down below for you to check it out. It just is a cool thing that fans did and helped out the world. So I thought that was pretty great. I have been told that I can snag my friend Aiden from UnderCover Otter for an interview, and I was going to put that in this podcast, but I think I might actually save it for number 2 as a bit of a motivation for me to make sure that I keep doing this. I'm not sure what my schedule yet will be. I'm going to aim for between every 2 weeks and once a month. Depends on how my speaking ability holds up to that. But yeah, I'm gonna aim for 2 weeks. So we'll see if I can have an interview with them recorded and uploaded and ready to go for a podcast in 2 weeks. Until then, enjoy your making, enjoy your knitting, enjoy your reading, and enjoy your fandom. And hopefully it all keeps you happy, because this year is going to be better than last year. Thanks for joining me. I'm sure you can hear her licking her paws now. Stop. Stop. Thank you. Yes, you.